It's Yash. See, I like talking about things that actually mean something, that are gonna, what good does it do if we just sit here and I say, this life's so beautiful. Like, don't you know how beautiful you are and life is? This dog food, it's like so beautiful. This is what I use to feed the dogs. Some of you know, I told you that's what I do for fun. See, I want to deliver a message to those who, particularly those who have really intense limitations, human limitations, because I know about that. The mind says if you have really intense chronic limitations, what are we talking about limitations? I used to say there's 3 or 4 main categories where the karma can be crazy. Everybody has one of these categories. Some have a couple, but one usually predominates. But sometimes it's just unbearable. These are the limitations I'm talking about. What are the categories? You can have really intense health situations, chronic pain, or chronic imbalances in your nervous system and your mental body and emotional body. You can have intense family karma. A lot of people have that too. Intense relationship karma. I've spoken prisons and jails before, and they're full of people who are in there directly or indirectly because of a relationship gone bad. Or money karma. You just can't like get on your feet. You just can't figure it out. You should take all the classes, how to be a millionaire and positive thinking. It doesn't matter. If you have karma in that department, you got to work through that. And same with the health. If you have intense health issues, you can go to all the best doctors or holistic modalities and etc. and they're not going to help you because it's like your karma to experience this burning. See, people that don't understand that they somehow didn't sign up for this elite level of training that some did, that some of you did, they don't understand that. Even the so-called awakened beings that you go in front of in the podium who have millions of followers, they'll just tell you, like, look, if it's self-inquiry or something or non-dual, they'll say, this is just the character that's going through that. It's not you. You just stay as yourself. That's it. That's all you got to do. And then you'll be like me and you'll see how everything's so beautiful. The person's like, yeah. And now the person actually that's going through that, they feel deeply misunderstood, number one. Number two, they, a lot of them go, I don't know about a lot of them, but some experience, they'll just go into a deep depression or even psychosis. Their mind will convince them, like, what am I doing wrong? I've been in front of these people that other people say are awakened, and they're telling me, like, somehow I feel like it's my fault. I'm doing something wrong. If I was doing something right, then these limitations wouldn't be there. See, this is another big thing. I want to really drive this point home. The mind will say, if you were really tapped into your spirituality, you wouldn't have these limitations. This is huge. I lived with that for years before you can say the higher consciousness debunked it. It's like, man, if you were really doing your spiritual practice, you'd be like these other people who are just saying everything's so beautiful and they just feel peace and love and light and, like, what's the hell's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? Nothing. You're not doing anything wrong. This is your particular individual karmic destiny that on a higher level you signed up for. Now, and what are some more things? Deep addictions. I wrote some things down. Deep addictions. Oh, I think I went over them all. Yeah. My body's sick or my mind is out of control. My family makes me crazy. This type of thing. If your body, if it's not functioning in a balanced way, meaning if your nervous system is super out of balance, if your thoughts, they're just zipping and zooming all the time, and you just emotionally you're so hypersensitive that you know, this is what happens to these road rage people and people that'll kill you because you took their parking spot. They're so out of balance. And then they're probably taking psychotropic drugs on top of that, which just makes them even more crazy. Those are heavy situations. So I think the title of this video is going to be like, your human limitations can't stop you from awakening. So I wanted to give the background first. So now I'm saying that can't stop you from awakening. How? Like, what are you talking about? How is that not going to stop me from awakening? This deep dysfunction I'm dealing with at home with my family or in my own body, or I have an addiction, it's taking up all my gigabytes because like I'm thinking about it all the time. And everybody says you need a calm mind. You gotta be like, you could be all zenned out. Oh yeah, okay, this is cool. I'm awake now. Damn, I can feel it. Like, I need to make a video, real time awakening. So if you have this imbalance emotionally, mentally, or situationally, I like making up new words, then how can I awaken? Yeah, let's see. I don't know what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna speak spontaneous. I write some things down, just like bullet points, and then something flows, you know? I'm not a TED talker. Did you figure that out yet? How can that not, how can these limitations, deep limitations, not just like, you know, I hurt my hand and so now I can't box. No, I'm talking about limitations, chronic, that's the word. Chronic degenerative limitations. And everybody has this in one main category generally. Money or family or relationships or health. But some have it heavy. We got to go back to the real truth, which is, to use non-dual language, this is the character that's going through this stuff. This is true. Our true self, when this character drops off, you don't even have to wait for it to die. Just when you go to sleep at night, especially when you're in deep sleep, there's nothing. You're not experiencing these limitations. That's proof that's not who you are. If these limitations are really who you are, you're going to experience this in the dream state, in the deep sleep state. You're going to experience it when the body leaves. That's the definition of truth, permanent. So these aren't permanent. Your true self is permanent. That doesn't have these limitations. Now, there's some saving grace in knowing that. It doesn't make your human experience better all the time, but just know this human experience isn't who you are. This human character bot isn't going to ever wake up. It can't, because it's limited by nature. To be individualized, you're limited. Awakening means totally unlimited. There's always going to be a play of limitation in the individual self. It's all right. You recognize the space, the stage in which this limited character is playing in. That's already awake. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how deep your limitations are. That's not who you are. This first thing. Now, how does that help though, Yash? Because I'm like suffering like crazy. This character that the consciousness identified with, on some level, it has to in order to exist. Consciousness is running this whole show. I don't care who you are, or how great you are, or how enlightened you are. If you're in a body, there's limitation. That means the consciousness has identified with the body. So, those who have heavy karma and limitations, when the consciousness identifies with the body, hence then there's experience. So those with deep limitations are having very intense, you can say, negative experiences, have painful experiences and sensations. So it doesn't do any good to say, well, that's just a character, it doesn't exist. Yeah, it definitely, for this play of time and space dimension, definitely exists, and you definitely feel it. When Jesus was getting nailed to the cross, he felt that. So what do we do about that? Well, that's why, like, number one, you have to accept it. Give up this idea, this obsession that you have to make that go away so then you can be awake. This is number one. Accept the karma. This is the destiny. That already takes the pressure off a little bit. Then you can go see my other channel, Transcending Shadows, because I talk more on a level of how we can use nature to help restore some balance and look, there's a difference when I'm in nature or I'm around good company or I'm eating clean and I'm preserving my sexual energy versus when I'm not. There's a difference. If I'm in a human body, then all these other, you can say, external things has an effect on me. So on a practical level, it's wise to look at these things. So that's what I talk about on that channel. The other benefit of these, you can say, very chronic limitations is, you see, it's almost like a benefit of that is that we're going to experience a depth of surrender that most don't. Most just don't know what that is. They can't. This limitations that we have, the experience that translates into on a human level can be so painful sometimes, you don't have any choice but to surrender. Surrender is an unconscious act. It's not a volitional thing. You don't say, yeah, I'm gonna choose to surrender. Like I'm gonna choose to, like, call somebody. That's easy. How are you gonna choose to surrender? A real surrender is when your whole being surrenders, which is easier when your whole being seems to be suffering. Then something just then you really know what surrender is. This is one of the main benefits of such karmic limitations that some people have. This burns karma on a level, man. It's super accelerated. And people aren't going to understand you. That's another challenge. You already have these deep limitations, and then you're around people and like I gave the example before, they say, look, but just recognize that's just a character, it's not who you are. And something inside you knows, you're like, they don't get it. They can be enlightened, awakened, but if they don't have that actual human physical experience, they don't get it. They can't. That's just part of the law. Somebody who goes through that is going to get that better than the person that goes through it. Maybe they're not enlightened. They can understand and help you better than the sage who doesn't get it. Because then the mind will say, wait, but he's a sage and he gets everything and he's one with everything. He can feel exactly what you're feeling. It doesn't work like that. Those are more traps the mind creates to try to increase your misery, because it throws it back on you like, I'm doing something wrong. Like, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong. This moment is tailor-made for you. There's a blessing in this. We just can't always see it. So these heavy chronic limitations, they end up producing a surrender on a level, because there's no end to surrender. It's infinite in its depth. So after you go through this karma and burn that, and after you come into this surrender organically, your sense of surrender can be seemingly more deep or higher than this sage's surrender. Because remember, a sage can always awaken more. Everybody can always awaken more. It's like somebody could be like this awake. Remember I made the fun short video? How are you super duper enlightened? Like what level are we at? So this sage could, maybe he's like awake like that. You're like going through this heavy karma, and you feel like you're like awake down here. You burn that karma off, you get this depth, and all of a sudden you like take him over. You're like, got you, man. I'm super duper enlightened. You're only super enlightened. See, we don't know how this is going to work, but what we do know, you should feel this, it's true, that your situation right now is perfect for you, and at some point in this eternal show, you're going to see how this was the ultimate superfood for the consciousness that just blew it up, that just, all these spiritual principles that people talk about, and you're like embodying it now. You can't even not do it. It's just, it's crystallized. You just, spirituality detonated in you. You don't even want to talk about it. You don't want to make people feel bad. You're like, okay, I'm going to try to be not spiritual. I don't want to make them feel bad. I don't want them to see how spiritual I really am. We don't know, you know. All right, did I miss anything? Yeah. So we'll end on the, you know, I got to make fun of the non-duals a little in each video, almost. They don't know about this level. The average person does not know about that level of really deep karmic suffering. They don't know about it. They don't know about it, so they don't, and they can't admit they don't know. That's the worst thing. I had a great realized teacher in India. Super fiery though, and I mean, he had some wisdom. That's why I stuck with him. But and this was, I don't know, 18 years ago or something. And so I was bringing these what we're talking about, these chronic limitations to him, trying to get some solace, trying to see, you know, if he could help me. And he couldn't. Later I realized this. He had no actual experience with this, but he couldn't admit it. He couldn't say, look, man, I really, like, my heart's with you. I can see that on a karmic level, like, yeah, there's some suffering going on there. And let's see if on a practical level, maybe we can try to think, you know, some Ayurvedic doctor or somebody maybe who can help you on a practical level, so that then your yoga meditation practice can be better because you're working on your body also. No, he didn't do anything like that. He never, this is the thing with arrogance. And it's a, man, on the spiritual path, the arrogance it's so easy to go unchecked. You know, these people just can't. Humility is lacking in a lot of them. Yeah. So he would just keep saying, look, man, just relax, basically. Stop thinking, like the non-duals. Just, you know, like, relax. Like you're creating this. That's another trap. This metaphysical spirit, new age spirituality. You're creating everything. You created this. If you created it, you can undo it, as if it's that easy. Only the people that don't have experience with this is going to talk like that. So this is why I'm making videos, to try to help give some balance to that, because I have never seen any videos that share like this. I just haven't. I want to. If you know one, tell me. So then you end up, I like Mooji's line. He calls it a cappuccino enlightenment. Everybody just sits at Starbucks and drinks their coffee and just talks about how nothing exists. And oh, look at those people, they think they're talking about something like it exists. We know nothing exists, like what's wrong, you know? So everything's just so beautiful. This coffee is like it's just bliss. Yeah. I'd rather be locked in a jail with murderers talking than to hear that. All right, that's a good line to end on. Let me know if you have any questions. I do consultations. My email is on the banner. I have a few other channels too. I have a channel for girls, Divine Femininity. I have a channel for semen retention for guys, Beyond the Alchemy. And then I have that channel, Transcending Shadows, that deals more on a practical spiritual level, so that then your spiritual practice can be more efficient, because it helps balance the body-mind. Those links are on my channel, my YouTube home channel page. You'll see it. Have a good day. I'll see you.